Welcome to part 6 of the Spring Boot and Angular project series, where we are going to build a video streaming application like YouTube. So in part 4 and part 5 of this video series, we have created an API to save the video details, when we also created a component to show the form to save the video details. So in this video, we are going to create a form to enable users to edit the video metadata, and we are also going to install a video player component in our Angular application so that the users can view the videos which are uploaded to Amazon S3. So without any further delay, let's start the video. So the first thing we are going to do is to install a library called as Angular Flex Layout in our Angular project. So for that, I've just searched for Angular Flex Layout in Google, and I'm going to first click on the first link, which is from the GitHub page. So if I click on the Angular Flex Layout link, you can see that this library is created by Angular itself, and it has like 5,600 stars. The GitHub project has 5,600 stars, so it's quite popular. So mainly it provides a HTML UI layout for our Angular application. So if I want to structure our components inside the Angular application, I can make use of the HTML, the UI layout provided by this Flex Layout library. So see how to use this library soon. So first, to install this library, I'm just going to scroll down here under the Getting Started section. We already have the command here, so in install command. So with this command, we are actually going to install the Flex Layout library and also the Angular CDK. So I'm just going to copy this particular command, and I'm going to open my IDE. I'm just going to cd to the front-end project, and here I'm just going to paste the command npm install and Angular Flex Layout and Angular CDK, and I'm just going to press enter. Now you can see that the library is installed successfully, but to continue the installation, we need to add the Flex Layout module to the Appmodule imports sections. So I'm just going to make sure to add the Flex Layout module inside the imports array. And again, if you're not using IntelliJ, you can just import the Flex Layout module from Angular Flex Layout library, right? And after we have added this library, now we can use the Flex Layout to organize the components inside the HTML. So for that, I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to use the directive fx layout, and I'm going to create a layout of and I'm going to create a row, and I'm going to use the wrap attribute here so that we will have a row, and I'm going to divide the screen into 4 different sections. So I'm going to create 4 different divs for that. So I'm just going to copy and paste it 4 times, and I'm going to create first the 20%. So I'm going to first allocate the 20% of the screen through the fx flex attribute. I'm going to assign 20% of the screen. I'm just going to add text called as hi, right? And similarly, I'm going to allocate the next 30% of the screen, so that here we will have the form. This particular div will contain the form where the user can type in the metadata of the video. So save video details form, and in the next div sections, we are going to assign 30% of the component to this particular section, and here we are planning to display the video player. So video player, and also the last 20% of the section we are going to leave it as blank. So but for now, just to show you how the layout is, I'm just going to add the text hi here also. And yeah, once this is done, make sure you restart the Angular application, because we have made some changes. Because we have made some changes in the appmodule.ts file. So just make sure you restart the Angular application. I'm going to type again npm start, And once the application is compiled successfully, you can just open the browser to the previous URL. So we can just open the browser to the previous URL, and now you can see that the screen is divided into 4 nice sections. So the first section is taking 20% of the screen, and the second section is taking 30%, the third section is taking 30%, and also the last section is taking 20%. So what we are planning to do is, in the second section we are going to display the form where the users can type in the video details, and in the second section we will display the video player. So now let's go ahead and create the form. So I'm going to open the Angular material website, and I'm going to click on the section components. So let's pick some. So let's see whether Angular material provides us any examples of how to use the forms. So I'm just going to scroll down until I find the section form field, and I'm going to click on the section examples, and if you scroll down, this simple form field, so this form looks like something we can use, right? So we need 3 inputs, like one for title, one for description. Input is to select the video status, so whether it's public, private or unlisted. So these are the 3 fields we need mainly in our form, and we also need another component called as a chip component to display the tags, so which looks something like this. So you can add the chips automatically. We can use this chips component, but for now let's go ahead and add this simple form field component to our Angular application. For that, I'm just going to click on the second link here called view code, and I'm going to copy the whole code here. So actually I don't need the whole code, but I just need the first 2 components, because the first one is the input field and down. So we just need these 2 fields. I'm just going to copy these 2 fields, and I'm going to open IntelliJ, and I'm going to open the save video details component and paste it just under the save video details form. So I'm also going to rename this save video details form to div with class called as mat title. So I'm going to provide the title as add video metadata. So as we have added a new component called as a form field, so this form field should exist inside a form tag. So just quickly create the form tag and embed this form field inside the form tags. And the next thing we are going to do is to import the form field module into the appmodule.ts file. So for that, as I'm using IntelliJ, I'm just going to press the key combination Alt Enter, and I'm going to import the Angular module for mat form field module, and I'm also going to import the mat select module followed by the mat option module, right? So once you have imported all the modules, so if I'm just going to open the appmodule.ts file, and this is how it should look like, right? So you should first import the mat form field module, which is coming from the Angular material form field package, the mat select module coming from the material select package, and mat option module coming from the Angular material core package. So after you have added all these modules inside the appmodule.ts file, now we are free to use these components inside the HTML file. So the next thing I'm going to do is to rename the labels here for these components, for the input component and also the drop down component here. So the first field inside our form is going to be for the title. So I'm just going to rename this input to the label as title, and the input is going to be a text field. For that, I'm just going to leave it as mat input, and I'm going to add another attribute to this tag called as required, because a title of the video is a prerequisite for us. The next thing I'm going to do is copy this mat form field and paste it again. I'm going to create a duplicate form field, and I'm going to rename this label as description. So firstly, we are going to create fields for the title, description, and the video status, and we will try to save the video with these details from the Angular application. We are going to make a call to the backend. After that, we are going to also make sure that we can upload the thumbnail from the form. Coming to the next step, as we have already changed, so coming to the next step, we are going to rename this select to video status. And the video status, if you remember, can have two options, like can have the options public, private, or unlisted. So for now we're just going to use the options public and private. So I'm just going to rename this first option to public and the second option to private, and the value also I'm going to provide it as private. So we have created the form fields inside the form, but we have to create a form inside the save video details.component TypeScript file. So I'm just going to open the component.ts file, and here I'm going to create a form group, and I'm going to name this form group as save video details form, and this is going to be a form group. So I'm going to first define this save video details variable, and I'm going to initialize this form inside the constructor. So I'm just inside the constructor, I'm going to type in this dot save video details form equals new form group. Here we are going to create the controls inside the form group. So as we have mainly three fields like title, description, and video status as of now, we're going to first create three form controls. Again, I'm going to create the variables on the component level. For title, this is going to be a form control, and I'm going to also create this form control and assign it to the form control, the title form control variable. And the same thing I'm going to do for the description and also the video status. So if you're wondering how did I duplicate this particular line, it's by pressing a key combination Control D in IntelliJ. So you can make use of that particular shortcut to code faster. So what I'm going to now do is to initialize these, to define these three form control variables inside the form group. So I can do that by typing title and typing this dot title, and description is this dot description, and video status would be this dot video status. So there's going to be a comma instead of a semicolon. And okay, so we have created the form group and also the three form controls and defined these form controls inside the form group. So the next thing is to bind these form controls to the HTML. So what I'm going to do is going back to the component.html save video details component HTML file, and in here first I'm going to bind the form group to save video details form. So okay, it's asking me to import the reactive form modules inside the Angular module. So I'm just going to select that, and if I go to appmodule.ts file, here you can see that the reactive forms module is automatically added to the import section of the app module file. So that's nice. If not, you also have to make sure that you add these to the import section. The reactive form module is coming from the Angular forms library. Okay, so moving ahead, so the next form control we are going to define is going to be the title. So for that I'm just going to add the directive form control. For the title input, I'm just going to select the title form control of which is defined inside the component, so that whenever we type any data inside the title field, it will be bound to this particular variable inside this particular form control inside the component. So the same thing I'm going to also do it for the description, and I'm just going to rename it to description. And the next thing is going to be for the drop down. So I'm going to also copy the form control option here, and I'm going to name it as video, and it to the video status form control. Alright, so the next thing is to create a button so that we can save these particular details after filling these details. The next thing we have to do is to create a button, create a save button. For that, just below the mat form field, I'm going to create a button tag, and I'm going to make this of a type submit, and we are going to use the mat raised button. We are going to use the matte raised button attribute of this button, matte raised button attribute from Angular material, and I'm going to use the color as primary so that we will get a blue button with the the text save. So I'm going to name it as save. Alright, so I think after doing all this coding, we should have a simple form with a title input and a description input and a drop down with values public and private, followed by a button called save. So let's check if these components are displayed according to our expectations or not. But first, as we have done some changes to the appmodule.ts file, I'm just going to quickly restart the server. Once the server is restarted, I'm going to open the application again, and here you can see that we have the title, the description, and also the video status drop down. You can see the two options, public and private, and you can see that the save button is defined just beside the drop down. This is the drop down component, but it's not a problem, we can change it later.